In 10 weeks, we pulled off 11 kgs and was able to transform one of our Gorilla 2 members from looking like this to now looking like this, ready for him to go on his holiday, which he will now be on. This result just finished last Friday. So we're just going to speak about how we got that result. So obviously, if you're in your own pursuit of getting lean, ready for the summer, ready for your holiday, you know how it's going to run. If you're new to the channel, by the way, welcome. My name's Tom Sergey. I run the Gorilla 2, which is an online physique transformation program where we get results like the one we're talking about today each and every week, and then we'll just discuss them online so you can understand our methodology, how we get them, and then obviously if this is a good fit for you and if it's something you want to join, then that's cool as well, but only if you get enough value from the video, being my plea to you first and foremost. So just to understand the numbers, he started out at what I believe to be about 21% body fat. The hair can always make things look a little bit more like less conditioned, I would say, than they actually are. But we can see this guy here is starting with a good amount of muscle mass, I would argue, and he is 86.7 kilograms when he started. By the way, when I said 11 kg off, you could say it's 10.7, but I just rounded up to 11 for easy numbers. And then we finished at 76, pretty much flat, 76.1, and 11, I believe, sat around 11% body fat. Nice. Good photos taken absolutely with a pump in the gym as well. You can see the details start to come through around the midsection. And yeah, so 10 weeks worth of work completely transformed how he looked ready for his holiday. So we're going to discover in this video how we did this so you can apply it into your own. So the first thing you're going to do when you're going for your own transformation is establishing your start point. Take your photos front, side and back. And also establish your scale weight. You're going to need to have a rough guideline of your body fat percentage. I like to use this graph here. I'll establish it around about, I think he was a touch softer than this, so I went with 21. Maybe he was around 20, and again, it's always going to be an estimate at best. Then you're going to take your scale weight. We take the two together. Comes in now lean mass of 68.5. That's an important number to remember, which we'll come on to why in a second. RMR, your resting metabolic rate, is sat at 1850. Average level of activity, 155, which meant him at maintenance of 2867. Now, when someone is needing to get it off quite quick, I'll go in more of an aggressive drop of 0.5. Your options are like 0.25. That's for those of you that are maybe at 20% or 18 or 17%, and you've got a bit of time, like you've got 12 weeks to get down to a lean level. That's needed for you. If you have a bit more, over 21, up to around 25% body fat, then you're going to want to drop a bit more aggressive at a 0.5 drop. And that's, as you can see there, that's best part of 500 calories we went in a drop. That's quite significant. The only time I'd say to go more than that is if you're starting out and you're around 30% or above percent body fat, then I go off a multiplier of 0.7 minus 0.7. And again, that's then a deficit of around like 600-700, which again is drastic, but at the end of the day, if you're 30% body fat, you really got the calories around your midsection, if you know what I mean. So we started him at around this figure here, 2390. Protein for him is at 164. The way we establish that is you take this figure here and you times it by 2.4. Now, when you are 20%-ish, 1 gram per pound of body weight protein can also work for you. If you're towards 30%, a quick tool you can use is your height in centimeters. That would be your gram amount. We like to go 20% of the target of fat, so not too low, 50 grams relative to what we had here. And then your carbs coming in at 314. So that'd be filling the rest up. If you're thinking, what do we eat? Well, here's just an optional meal plan that I would show you, in which we pretty much go similar to this, manipulate it for certain dietary needs. But as a rough rule of thumb, this is a rough guideline. So let's say you got starting calories and for your amount of 2,350. Let's round that up. Protein of 167, carbs 294, fats of 55, and fiber being the key figure here at 50. Fiber is going to be one of your biggest friends for volume. Carbs are going to be one of your biggest friends for driving performance in the gym, and of course protein is there for recovery. Fats are needed for joint health, absolutely, and for hormone regulation, but this is going to be the target that we do end up pulling from. So this is a similar meal plan to what we had him on. I won't show you his exact one because we manipulate it to get down, so it won't read the right numbers now anyway for a starting point. So meal one, oats 70 grams at dry weight and peanut butter 30 grams. So the oats is there to add volume, to slow down digestion. To add volume and carbs in the form of 7.4 grams of fiber. The peanut butter is going to add taste and slow down the digestion and mean that this meal will take You will have it earlier in the day and it'll keep you fuller for longer. Scoop of whey protein just to add some protein to that meal, and then berries at 150 grams. Again, this is going to add a good amount of fiber and also make the meal a bit more voluminous and tasty as well. So 13 grams of fiber going in here, a good 74 grams of carbs and 34 of protein. Other options you've got 4 eggs, 70 oats, 150 berries, and some egg whites to bolster up that protein target there. So that's a meal 1 that we tend to run with. Meal 2 wants to be something a little bit lighter. Chicken breast raw, weight 150, white potato at 250 grams. Again, a good 6 grams of fiber. Not a fan of potato, you can run rice, but potato will give you more volume, and then vegetables also coming in at 100 grams. Now, when you're going to train, you've got 2 options, and it depends when you're going to train. I personally like to run oats and jam, but I'll make sure I have that an hour before I train. If that's not an option, then you're going to want something that is still fibrous, still 8.6. To be fair, you even more fibrous than what we had here. But we've noticed that fruit can digest very quickly. Apples, bananas, berries, you eat them within 20 minutes, you're good to go. You can go and train. Which, to be fair, considering you get 3 grams of fiber from a banana, it digests really smooth and really easy for you. On these non-training days, we drop this meal off, 250 calories. So that'd be the difference between that. We keep the shake in with some almond milk. And then meal 5, we'd replica chicken and potato. Why do we do this? We want simplicity. We don't want a complicated... You've noticed this diet plan right now. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Very basic. And do you know why? Because basic is easy to achieve. Basic is easy to do, easy to stick to. You can prep your meals once per day. Ideally, you want to be prepping them like twice per week. You can get a load of these all cooked, good to go. In, out, in, out. Most of you live busy lives. Most of you are busy professionals. Most of you have got careers. Most of you are developing other areas of your life. You don't want to be spending all the time in the kitchen cooking and prepping. So make your diet plan easy. Make your food shop as small as possible. Know exactly the food you're getting. Know how much, because you've set out an exact meal plan, and then it's easy to go and purchase from the shop. I do like to give a little bit of morale before the end of the day. So low-fat yogurt, 200 grams. Dark chocolate, 30 grams. 70% or above with this. And then berries at 100 grams. That's a meal plan generally will run similar for most of our guys. Nice and simple, high protein, easy digestible foods, and something that you can stick to. Now, so that's what we did for his feeding and his setup for his calories. Next, let's discover how he was training to go from looking like this to this. Now, in this case, this was really just a fat loss phase. He already had a good amount of density. You would say he looks bigger, but it's probably because he is leaner, and when someone is leaner, they do look bigger. Now, we've done results in the past where we've done body recompositions, where we've been able to drop off body fat and build some muscle. This was a prime example of this in around 16 weeks. Like you can see the difference between him. He's definitely got some more size and he's leaner. So nice. That can sometimes happen. But other times it may just be a straight up fat loss phase, especially if you haven't got the time to sit just below maintenance for a while. And that's what we do in a recomp. You'll sit just below maintenance for a good 6 weeks. Then aggressive fat loss comes off the back of it. This was more of a fat loss protocol, to be honest. So he kept, if anything, the muscle, which is the main aim of fat loss. You just want to peel off the body fat, keep the muscle tissue, but you may not build too much during this phase. Yeah, just being honest with you. So the split we actually did run was a 5-day training split comprising of push, pull, legs, rest day, chest and back, delts and arms, and then another rest day. I like to run it that you don't run 5 flat straight sessions, because realistically, after you've done the third, you come into what, you've done a gruesome leg day, the next day you're going to be pretty fatigued. You try and push a heavy chest and back, you're not going to be as effective as you possibly could be. And that's why I like to run the rest day here and here. So I would really encourage you to do the same. So pushes everything on the front of the, pushes everything including delts, triceps, and pecs, where we're thinking pec deck, incline dumbbell, flat machine, shoulder press machine, cable, tricep extension, standing machine, lateral raises, or you can do dumbbells and overhead cable, tricep extension. I hope as I go through these exercises, none of these are really new news to you. Maybe a single arm pull down on a cable works very well for blasting the lats. T-bar row for the chest, for the upper back and traps, and lat pull down again for the lats. Rear delt flies, hammer curls. Legs, I like to keep things supported. I don't like to do things like freestanding back squat, freestanding RDLs, for the reason being, you're going to spend more energy trying to stabilize than you are challenging the working muscle. Leg press, we support your back, we support your glutes. Now we can target the quad and the glutes more effectively. Leg extension, line hamstring, leg press, and then a Bulgarian split squat. Again, support one hand, support one leg and working hand going with the actual load. Chest and back, really a flavour of push and pull, and then delts and arms gets its own day for attention to keep that aesthetic physique look. If you were training a 4-day, I'd say you'd want to structure this in a way that it'd be full body push, full body pull. So everything on the front of the body, everything on the back of the body, and repeat times 2, and you'd be good to go with that. We send over form clips to make sure that our guys are training correctly. What we're looking for here is this here, tempo. So once you got the load at the top, steady down, 3, 2, 1, pause, and then driving back up. This is going to make you accurate and deliberate with the reps that you're doing, putting actual mechanical tension on the working muscle so we can stimulate it and get it to grow the best we possibly can. So yeah, we like to have our guys send in their clips of them training so we can see how they're actually progressing on with that. So that's how he trained, and that's what he ate. What I like to do is I like to start straight on the money with formal cardio, as well as NEAT. So we've got non-activity exercise thermogenesis, known as NEAT. So with this, we started with 10K steps, and we held that for the longest period of time. We started with 20 minutes of cardio, and again, we held that all the way up till week 6. So from week 6, we started specifically 2-3-2-8, ran that all the way until, to be honest, his food, this will surprise you, but his food we kept pretty much the same throughout, and we just drove more output through cardio. So in terms of how and when do you make your change in your progress, you're going to assess, well, how did he get on? So you're going to look through the numbers and be like, yeah, cool, dropped off a kg, yeah, 0.8, yeah, 0.8, held, oh no, sorry, yeah, 0.8 again, and that's what he was consistently really dropping. Now, it's not always going to run that smooth. There will be times during your transformation that you're going to like see it start to mellow out and stall, and that's absolutely normal. Like, to be fair, the fact that he dropped so nicely on 2-3 for the majority of time is more surprising than not. But then I put that down to the amount of muscle he's doing, the amount of muscle he's got, the cardio he's doing, and the fact that it was, I would say, a fairly aggressive deficit of 477 calories. So you are going to see, you know, if you've got a good amount of muscle and you just need to lean up, you drop 477 calories, you'll see a nice drop off. But the good thing with him is that was still at 2,300 calories. So not low, but low enough, right? So from there, we then kept running the plan as normal, 20 minutes of cardio, 10K steps on top of the 20 minutes of cardio and the training and the feeding until around week 6. And then we then made our next change. We went to 30 minutes of cardio daily, then to 40 minutes, then to 50 minutes. And I believe right at the end, right the last week, I did pull some food, took him down to around 2-1 or even a little bit less, just to really like get him over the line. And his cardio was up at about 55 minutes daily by the end. But again, this is 10 weeks. You can be quite aggressive and strike quite hard during these 10 weeks because you're not doing it forever, right? You're only doing it for 10 weeks. So go all out in this process. At the same time, though, don't like let your dogs off the leash in the way that you want to leave something every week for progression. Because if you play all the cards really early, really soon, you've got nowhere to go from it other than really low or really high output. And it just becomes like a bit of a problem. Fatigue ends up getting a bit too high. Now, because it's only 10 weeks, don't need to think about running deloads. I would say, push 12 weeks past that before you run a deload. We only ran one refeed, and that was just right before the end. We didn't run any beforehand, and he moved very nicely through the transformation. Now, I would say it's pretty simple. For you to get results like this, like realistically, your training split, it's more how you do it, rather than the exercises that are actually in your bank. Like, there's no real right and wrong when it comes to training exercises. There's kind of better and worse exercises per se. You just need to think like, how much mechanical tension is this exercise putting on the working muscle? But what it is how you execute it. It's the fact that you come down with slow tempo. It's the fact you take it through the full range. It's the fact you actually use the working muscle to lift the load rather than just globally moving loads from A to B. And that's one of the biggest factors when it comes to training and getting the most out of your training. It's one big thing we dial in at the Gorilla Platoon. When it comes to you actually going after and getting a result like this, and I say this all the time, the main reason we manage to get results like this is simply by really seeing and fixing the mindset of most people. Most of you will have a few limiting beliefs that you think, I can't get a six-pack because of X, Y, Z. You'll think that I'm not cut out for this, or I can't drop off weight that quick. In reality, the way you will do this is by not focusing on tactics. I've given you the full tactics up to now to get the result because I want you to understand, like, this is actually how we physically did it. But I would say without those, obviously, you can't just think your way into six-pack abs, of course not. But I would say just focusing on that, trying to focus on hacks and tactics is the main reason you won't get the six-pack. Because it's never a quick hack or a quick tactic was the reason that the physique changed. It wasn't the type of casein or whey protein that you had that got you the result. It wasn't this exercise was better than this exercise that got you the result. Like, realistically, it is none of that sort of stuff. Any plan done long enough, consistently enough, will work. What's going to get you the results is what you do outside of the plan and away from the plan. Because you must understand, right, what you did up to this point got you to look like this. And I don't say that to be offensive, I really don't. I say that to, like, let's think logically here. What our brains thought of got us to look like this for this point. And that's a reflection of our lifestyle and the habits that we've got up to this point, okay? So if we can think that, well, that is the main aim, that if I fix that, then I'm going to be able to get the result. Because if you looked at the plan as like the tap turned on to fill up the bath, and water, you know, that the plan's going to work, providing the bath has got no cracks in it. The problem is, the bath does have a hole in it. And if we don't plug the hole up, you're not going to fill the bath. You're not going to get in the shape because you're seeping out some of the good tactics you're doing in the training, the nutrition. It's coming out through maybe something at the weekend. Maybe it's the fact that you can't say no to people around you, and that, you know, they say, oh, you come into the pub and you're like, well, I guess I kind of want to socialise. And they're like, oh, come on, just 1 point. You're like, oh, yeah, just 1 point. It's only 270 calories. That just means if I drop off my yogurt and berries, I can kind of be all right. But then you're fatigued, then you haven't got as much energy the next day because you had dead calories from a pint rather than the actual food you should have been eating. That's the issue. It's more about your ability to say no to people than it is like you actually having the best plan in the world. Any plan will work. What this is really about, and the way I want you to consolidate this, is there is two versions of you. There is the normal version of you right now. Then there's also an athlete version of you. The athlete version of you, think about how he would approach 24 hours. He would make sure he stops drinking water at 6 p.m. so he doesn't wake up in the middle of the night for a piss. He would set an alarm 15 minutes before he's going to go to bed, so he does go to bed on time. He'd sleep for 5 sleep cycles, 7.5 hours, wake up good to go. When he wakes up, he wouldn't check his phone. He'd go straight out and he'd walk and he'd bank X amount of steps. He's already thought that, right, I need to sit down and support my wife in this thing that she's going through on Tuesday evening, so I need to be present there. So that's not going to be a time for me to prep food. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to prep it all now, then it's good to go. Or I know I've got this work meeting, I need to drive like 2 hours up the country. Okay, I'll prep my food so I know I'm going to be okay with that. Because otherwise you're going to be like, I couldn't do it. Had to sit and support the wife, and then we had to get takeaway. Or, I was on the road, so I had to stop at services. Those are the two reasons why you won't get the result. It's not the plan, it's the minutiae of your life as to why you're not going to get the result. But if you framed yourself like an athlete first and thought, well, how would the athlete approach it? Then you're going to be able to get the result because you're thinking of that new person. Therefore, you can transcend to the new character. It's not really about the plan. It's more about the man you need to become that's going to be able to get the physique. He looks like this as a byproduct of living the way he did for 10 weeks. To be fair, every credit, he didn't miss a single beat. He got straight to it. And whenever I said it was done yesterday. That was his type of attitude. And that's the attitude you need to have if you want to drop, best part of 11 kilos in 10 weeks. But it's the fact that you know who you're becoming into. And you can do little things like just create a document. And this is what the members inside the Gorilla Platoon will do. They'll come inside and I'll be like, right, the first thing you're going to do is create the 2.0 version of you. It's a full-on lecture we have inside the Gorilla Platoon, and they'll create the document. And what this does is you can then see who you need to become. You can get an image of what you want to look like, what physique you want. You can think of the traits that you need to have. Right, well, I need to be disciplined. I need to be able to say no to people. I need to be consistent. I need to have integrity with myself. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And then you need to script, how does a 24-hour period look like? Because we've got the North Star, who you need to become, athlete version of you. But then we've got, what does the minutiae in the day, in the 24 hours look like? This, bang, 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 bang. And that's the individual you need to become. So this is what we instill in our members in the Gorilla Platoon. This is why we're able to churn out results like this in quick succession. So if you want to come join us, there'll be links in the description for sure. Jump through and we'll speak on the phone from there. So thanks for watching as always. As we turn up daily, I'll see you tomorrow.